Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Tobe. Today on the 5 things, I am going to answer a bunch of questions that nobody asked me. I'm kidding. Over the last couple of months, I have been significantly more active on social media, particularly on Twitter. I've sort of opened up myself to being asked questions. And so I have put together some of the questions that I have been asked and just, created summaries of them. I get asked questions around the things that I tweet and post about. You would most likely find me tweeting about my faith, my career, and the sorts of transitions that have happened through my career, especially since I migrated. You would also find me tweeting about money, what I think people should do with money, what I try to do with my money, and I tweet about home ownership. As a matter of fact, I think that I've tweeted about home ownership so much that some people think that I'm some sort of real estate expert. I'm actually not. There are different ways to build wealth over time, and the way that I have chosen to go is through the route of home ownership. And so that's why I tweet about it and talk about it a lot. That's what I know, that's what I'm pursuing, and hopefully, fingers crossed, God help me, that's the way that I'm going to become wealthy in life. So yeah, you would find me tweeting and sharing about those things. You would also find me sharing about life, love, relationships, those things that make us feel good in our hearts. I find that I thrive on finding out things, just gaining knowledge and sharing the knowledge that I gain. I call myself a funnel of diverse knowledge. I find that to be a very good description of the sort of person that I am. So if you follow me on social media, you would have seen several threads and stuff that I've shared about anything within this spectrum of topics. If you don't follow me on social media, you absolutely should. My social media handle is at @IamTobeNeji. You'll find that on Twitter and on Instagram. Today, what I've done is I've gone through a bunch of the questions that I typically get asked, and I have categorized them into stuff about career in general and stuff about love and life, faith, money, and all of that. So today I am going to start with answering 5 questions that I have randomly gotten over time about career. Get yourselves ready for 5 things you should know about pursuing a career. I don't even know what to call this, but yeah, this is the 5 things. Welcome. We're going to take 5 questions that are focused on a career path. So question number 1, how soon is too soon to switch jobs? Without thinking a lot about it, I would say 6 months. 6 months is the standard amount of time that you should spend at any job that you get. But the reality is, this is really a decision that depends on your own unique situation. Say, for instance, you just got a job. It's a nice job, but it's not the exact job that you wanted. It's not the company that you were gunning for or the position that you were gunning for. And then the company that you were gunning for suddenly calls you and makes you an offer. And that offer is better than where you are. That would be a situation where I would recommend that you move, regardless of how short a time you spend at the job that you just got. However, there is a full tactic to doing this. There is a lot of honesty and transparency that goes into those conversations so that you don't burn the relationships that could have formed. You would want to be very open and honest to your recruiter and let your recruiter know what your situation is in case there is some sort of flexibility that they can allow you for the second job that you get, the preferred job that you're getting in second place, right? With the job that you've just gotten, there would be a lot of honesty and transparency as well. You would want to let the HR people know, your management know, hey, I loved getting this position and it is something that I would have loved to do. However, what I planned for the next steps in my career was this position at this company, and that has just opened up for me. Typically, people that you work for, especially if you're here in the United States, people that you work for, they're not trying to stifle your career, So just being honest and leaving on that note of being a person who is upright and honest is good for you and your reputation. But again, unique to your specific situation, you would have to make that decision. If, however, it is a job that keeps you on the same level, offers you just a very slight increase in income, then you might want to do at least 6 months before moving to another role. That is my recommendation. Question number 2. What are some general tips to making your resume pop? So there are lots of tips to making your resume pop. First of all, whatever industry you're trying to go into has definitely got some industry jargon. You want to have some of that jargon sprinkled around your resume. If you're going into the agile space, for instance, then you definitely want to have words in there with regards to the Scrum methodology or the Kanban methodology. You need to put stuff in there that makes your resume look and feel and smell like the resume of a person who is in that career and industry space. First tip. Second tip is for you to have a summary section, a professional summary section in your resume. Within that professional summary section, you want to have 2 to 4 things about you, your mindset, and your skill set that you want to highlight, right? And those need to be things that you are very apt at and you feel very strong and confident about with regards to your career journey and the experience that you have and the skill set that you have and the mindset with which you approach tasks and work and everything that you do within your career space. I say 2 to 4 because when you try to put in maybe 7 things, it gets a little crowded and you would find that you're talking more about your skills, things that you can actually list in your skill section. So keep it at 2 to 4 so that it's concise, it's straight to the point, and it sells your most powerful skills, mindset, and details about you as a person that come to play with pushing your career forward. The next tip would be for you to use active result-oriented verbiage when describing the work that you've done previously in your career. For instance, let me pull one from my actual resume where I said, simplified the team's onboarding process by developing a detailed and easy to use onboarding guide. With that verbiage, what it says is, first of all, I offered value, which is I simplified the onboarding process. And then it says what I did to achieve that value, right? That is active result-oriented verbiage. Compare that to something that would say, wrote a how-to guide for onboarding new teams or something. I don't even know. I really don't even know what the passive alternative is because my mind just isn't thinking about that. But that is an example of an active result-oriented line with which to sell yourself, because what that shows is, first of all, you are a result-oriented person. Second of all, they're able to actually quantify the result of the work that you did. A person would see that and say, oh, you're a person who thinks about the easiest ways to do things. We want you on the team. The final tip that I would give to make your resume pop would be for you to justify your document. And when you type, try to use just one font style. If you must use more than one, don't use more than 2. Don't have too many things going on, like don't have a section where you underline things and a section where you put things in italics and a section where you put things in bold and a section where you have things in font size 16. Less is more in this scenario. So try to use one font if you have to, maybe 2, and even at that, try to use 1 or 2 styles of writing just so that you don't have too much going on your resume. Third question, how do you ensure that you do well in an interview? First of all, I want to rephrase that question because I don't think that you can absolutely ensure that you do well, but you can do things that increase your odds of success. My first recommendation would be for you to practice the STAR model of answering interview questions. And when you practice that, add an L. All right, so STAR model is STAR. I like to add an L. S is for the situation, T is for the task, A is for the action, R is for the result, and L, which I like to add, is for the lesson learned. Every time you're asked a question at an interview, don't try to do a one-liner or a one-word answer. No, tell a story. Tell a story and try to call a story from your previous experience. Talk about a time 5 years ago when you were working on a particular team and this situation came up, and so you identified that this had to be done, and so you did this specific thing, and this was the result of what you did specific to that situation. And in there, talk about a lesson that was learned. There is always a lesson that was learned, whether it failed or whether it was successful. There's always a lesson learned. And if the lesson learned is something that says, oh yeah, the method that I used was effective and we were able to take that method into another project, that's a lesson learned. That the method that I used was effective, however, there was another method that could have given us a much better result. Lesson learned. The method that I used was a total disaster and it totally made the project fail, and what that taught me is that I need to be maybe more open to other people's options, or what that led me to do is to explore other options to help that situation, right? So there's always a lesson learned, and the reason I think that adding an L, typically people are going to tell you to do the STAR model, but I think that adding an L gives you an added edge because it means that you are a person who is conscious enough to take stock of your actions and the result of your actions and to see how your actions have directly benefited the situation or not. And if it has benefited the situation, you're able to take stock enough to take that success and translate it into something else. So it definitely helps you come across as a person that would be significantly more valuable on the team. Another tip that I would say is when you're answering a question, you're talking about a story, a time in your career experience, refer to your manager, refer to your mentor, refer to your coworker. Doing this makes you come across as a person who is not just doing the work, but is also paying attention to the people. You're also building human relationships while you're doing the work. It's 2020. Most of the work that we do, most of the work that will be successful beyond the machine age. I don't believe I just said that, but most of the work that we do requires us to build human relationships and coordinate that while we try to achieve career success. So most people want to hire people who are empathic enough to build human relationships while building their careers. The final tip to increasing your odds at an interview is for you to show emotion. Sometimes people go into an interview and are a little bit stoic and all they want to do is impress per the resume, per the job description, but sometimes we want to see emotion, and not sometimes, most times. The reason a human being is being hired to do the job is because there is a need for a human touch to the job. So show emotion. Like if you are talking about a time that you failed and you completely messed up a project, let it come through that it hurt. If you're talking about a time that you got negative feedback, let it come through that you took it, even though it stung, you were able to take it and bounce back from that. As you tell your story, let your face, your voice tone, your body language show a bit of emotion. Of course, do not be dramatic and, over the top, but let the emotion come across as you tell your story. Number 4, general tips for switching your career. If you followed me for a while, you would know that my career background started out in the broadcast media space, and now I am currently in the IT space. So I did have quite of a career switch. That was triggered mostly by my relocation to the United States. By the way, if you're a person who has moved to the United States, this is definitely something that you want to pay attention to. The first tip with switching careers would be for you to identify your selling point. In whatever it is that you were doing before, you need to identify what it was that made you successful. Was it your leadership skill? Was it your apt documentation skill? Was it your finance management skill? Maybe your communication skill? Identify your specific skill set that helps you attain success or attain sustainability in whatever career field you were in before. Once you do that, Google it. Literally. Google your skill set and see what career options are out there that sort of prioritize your skill set. You're going to come up with several career paths. You're going to find several job titles and different things that need your skill set. Now, you need to remember that the things that typically make us successful and excel in whatever careers that we choose to pursue are the soft skills. Every hard skill on the face of the planet can be learned. Every single hard skill. Every tool that needs to be used, every technology that needs to be used, every machine that needs to be used, you can learn it. You can learn it on your own or you can learn it on the job. But then the soft skills, which are things that are typically built with character and with personality, those are slightly more difficult to learn. So knowing what your soft skills are, what your soft skill strengths are, is what I'd call it. Identify the sorts of career paths that prioritize those skills and pick one. Pick one that has the sorts of hard skills that you find yourself more able to learn quickly. And then do whatever it is that you need to do to get yourself valuable within that space. So if, for instance, you decide that you're going to go ahead to be a business analyst, great. Look through and see what certifications or what learnings you need to do, what sorts of tools you need to know how to use, just what it takes to really be a successful business analyst, and then learn everything. Take the certifications that you need to take. If you need to go back to school, go right ahead and go back to school. Whatever it is that you need to do to make you a person of value within that new career space, go right ahead and do it. And then the final thing would be for you to update your resume. For you to successfully update your resume when you're switching careers, you need to be able to think about your previous job experience and find the threads of relatability with the new sorts of work you'll be doing, right? So what would be the job description of a business analyst, for instance? Find something that says maybe a day in the life of a business analyst. You can easily Google that. Read through, understand it, watch videos, and as you do that, start to relate bits and pieces of your existing experience into that field. You would find that most of the work that is done by most people in the world is very interconnected. You would find things within your existing experience that relate very well into things in this new career field that you're trying to pursue. So once you find those threads of relatability, learn to tell your story, learn to tell your career story with the verbiage of this new career field that you're about to go into. And of course, update your resume accordingly. Final question, what are general tips to negotiating your salary? When you're setting out to look for a new job, the first thing I always say is that you need to have a no-go minimum. Find out what the minimum possible amount of money is to earn for that job title and set that in your mind and say, yeah, this is it. Anything below this is not going to work for me. While you do that though, you also need to be open to what your possible options are. So you can get compensation in multiple ways. It mustn't be like your gross income, right? It could also be a mix of your gross income and stock options. It could be a mix of your gross income, stock options, and some pension plan contribution, so you need to open up yourself to those possibilities, but within creating that mix, you also need to sort of set a baseline minimum for yourself so that you are able to identify when you're being undercut. After the offer is made, even if it meets your minimum or maybe even exceeds your minimum, always ask for more. So the thing about asking for more is that an offer has already been made to you, so you know what they will give you. The worst thing that they would say to you if you ask for more is no, and you really don't lose anything when they tell you no. Regardless of what the offer is, always ask for more. But when you ask for more, make sure that you point out things about your skill set and your experience that necessitates you getting more. Sometimes more isn't going to come in terms of more money. Sometimes more could come with you asking for a higher position. So instead of going in as a level 2, you go in as a level 3. Now, you would be a level 3 who was earning level 2 pay, but what that does for you is at the end of the year, when there's bonus sharing, you would probably be getting a higher percentage because people at level 3 just get more percentage. Or at the time when you decide to move on to another role, maybe another role in that same company or in a different company, you are not a level 2 who is transitioning. You're a level 3 who is transitioning. So it gives you more room to negotiate for more in your future role, right? So sometimes you need to play the long game with negotiating. However, it is very important to have your no-go minimum. Of course, situations are different and things could happen, but where you can help it, try not to take a job that pays you lower than your no-go minimum because it gets rough. So those are 5 questions that I have answered with regards to career stuff. I really have no idea what I'm going to call this episode of the vlog, but I do hope that you find it helpful. If you have more questions that you would like me to answer with regards to your career, faith, by faith, I mean Christian Catholic faith, and stuff about life, about money, go ahead and let me have those questions. Use the hashtag #the5things and I will find you on Twitter and I'll be able to get all those questions from you. I think that I'm going to do a few more videos where I'm actually answering some of the questions that I've gotten over time. I think I kind of like this, right? And hey, let me know what you think about some of the thoughts that I have around these things. Put your comments right down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment, share, and follow me on social media at I am Tobe Neji. Until I see you next time, be safe, be good, and God bless.